Today, we're going to tackle a question that totally flips our whole idea of art right on its head. It's a simple question, but believe me, it changes absolutely everything.
So right off the bat, you see this on the screen. Wer ist Kunst? Now that translates to who is art? And yeah, you heard me right. Not what is art, but who. It's a strange question, isn't it? Almost sounds grammatically wrong. But that one word is the key to a massive artistic revolution that's been going on for a century.
Because really, this is where it's all heading. What if art isn't something you just hang on a wall or, stick on a pedestal? What if art is something you are? Okay, let's get into how we even got to this idea. To even begin to wrap our heads around a person being art, we've got to go back in time. We have to go to the exact moment an ordinary, everyday object completely shattered the art world. This is ground zero.
This is Marcel Duchamp. Back in the early 20th century, he did something wild. He took regular stuff, a bottle rack, a bicycle wheel, even a urinal, and just declared them to be art. He called them ready-mades. And people, well, they were confused. A lot of them were pretty angry. But it was too late. A huge idea had just been let out of its cage.
So the whole point of the ready-made wasn't about skill or making something beautiful. The art part wasn't in the object itself. It was in the artist's idea. Duchamp basically said, look, by choosing this thing and putting it in a gallery, I'm forcing you to see it differently. The real transformation, the real art, was happening inside our own heads.
And this is the absolute game changer. Duchamp freed art from the paintbrush and the chisel. For the very first time, a work of art could be a pure concept, just an idea. And that simple, totally radical thought blew the doors open for everything that happened next.
So where do you go from there? If any old objects can become art just because an artist says so, well, some artists started asking a pretty logical question. What's the most readily available object of all? And, well, here's the answer they came up with. In 1961, a German artist, Tim Ullrichs, made this incredible declaration. He said, "I am the first living work of art." He literally put himself on display. His entire life became his art form. He just took Duchamp's idea to its logical next step and applied it to himself. And this chart really lays out the evolution perfectly. With the ready-made, the object is the art. It's chosen by the artist, and the gallery acts as its frame. But for Ullrichs and other artists doing living sculptures, the person is the art. It isn't chosen, it's lived. And the frame, it's not the gallery anymore. The frame is life itself. But wait, it didn't stop there. The revolution had one more massive step to take. One artist was about to push this idea to its most extreme, most democratic, and honestly, most influential conclusion. And his name was Joseph Beuys.
Beuys basically took what Ullrichs started and made it universal. He said, look, it's not just about me, the special artist, being a work of art. The whole point, the ultimate goal of art is for every single person to realize that they are an artwork. I mean, that's a pretty radical thought, isn't it? He called his big theory social sculpture. For Beuys, sculpture wasn't about shaping clay. It was about shaping society. He truly believed our thoughts, our words, our actions, those were the real materials. Every conversation you have, every decision you make, every time you try to make the world a little bit better, that to him was an act of sculpture.
And that leads us to his most famous, and maybe most misunderstood statement, Jeder Mensch ist ein Künstler. It means every human is an artist. Now, he didn't mean everyone should go buy an easel. He meant that every single one of us has a creative power inside that we can use to shape our world. So for Beuys, the real art supplies aren't paint and canvas. They're your thoughts, which create ideas. They're your words, which share those ideas. And they're your actions, which make those ideas real. That's it. That's the creative toolkit every single one of us has. So, is this all just some dusty old idea from the last century? No way. These concepts are alive and kicking, and they're still pushing boundaries in some pretty provocative ways right now. Check out the Joblin Factory project. They've grabbed Beuys' slogan, "Every human is art," and basically turned it into a brand. They're spreading the idea everywhere, on t-shirts, in online stores, you name it. And they take it to some really jarring places. I mean, here we see so-called meat bags and a flesh phone. By mashing up the human, the flesh, with everyday consumer products, they're forcing us to ask a tough question. If we are art, are we also just a product for sale?
It's definitely challenging, it's uncomfortable, and it proves just how powerful that original idea still is.
So what this really shows us is that the questions Duchamp, Ullrichs, and Beuys started asking are far from over. They're still lighting a fire under new artists, pushing them to provoke us and to challenge the way we see ourselves and our world.
Okay, so after that wild ride through art history, let's bring it all the way back to that very first question. Who is art? And more importantly, what does any of this mean for you?
So let's break it down. We've seen that art is so much more than a pretty object. It can be a powerful idea. We watch that idea grow from an object to a single person and then to the potential that exists inside every person. Beuys's ultimate message is really about empowerment. Your creativity, the stuff you express through your thoughts and your actions, is a serious tool for change. You are the artist of your own life, and by doing that, you're an artist shaping the world you live in.
So I'll just leave you with this thought. If Beuys was right, if your entire life is a sculpture that you are constantly shaping with every thought, every word, and every single action, then the question isn't who is art anymore, is it? The real question is, what masterpiece will you create?